All right, good morning, everybody. I am Richard Liu. I have been teaching math at the middle school for a very, very long time. Well, maybe 15 years. I don't know if that's long compared to some of you. But I'm doing the EdTech TSA this year and super excited, also super busy. We've been planning a lot of PD, come across tons of exciting ideas that we're excited to share with you. Um, some people mention, oh, as they've been addressing me, they've been calling me the tech guru, and I'm by no means a tech guru. I think I've realized myself in regards to this job that I'm willing to learn. Right, I'm just googling anything and everything, watching videos about how to do things, and there's just a ton of resources out there that you can refer to. Um, I also want to mention that we've got this pandemic going on, right? Yesterday we have this fires and smoke going on, and last night as I was doing last minute preparations for the slideshows, all of a sudden Google servers are having issues. I couldn't cut and paste my videos. Google wasn't saving my slideshows, and I'm like, it's a perfect trifecta. Like everything's going crazy. Like internet goes down, you can't breathe outside, and we've got a deadly pandemic going on. And it's like, wow, that's a lot on all of our plates, right? I also want to mention, I'm trying to be kind of like full service and address a lot of things and things that I'm learning kind of in the moment. If you were at the last presentation with Marie, I was kind of like her sound engineer, right? I was checking that everything was going on okay. I was checking that people who accidentally were unmuted, I muted them. I was checking the chat screen, um, managing the breakout rooms. When people join late, I had to insert them into another breakout room, so I myself couldn't go into breakout room. Point being that she had me there, but you guys as a teacher, you're going to be juggling a lot of balls, right? All those things that I just mentioned. At times you'll be screen sharing. At times you'll have to manage the participant window, unmuting people, whether you give them the choice to unmute themselves or you want to do it. You're going to be somewhat responsible for that. You'll have to kind of peek at the chat room. You'll have to be dealing with breakout rooms. And we're in this new age, and I want to suggest that yes, you'll be juggling a lot of balls, but one way to maybe counteract that, not help remedy that, is just as you've had lunch monitors, milk monitors, chalkboard eraser monitors back in the day, you could delegate. So and so, you can be my chat monitor for today. Read all the chats. When I have a pause in it, because it's really hard, right, to be lecturing, teaching, going through instructions, talking about something, and still on this have your chat window going on. Text messages going off here. It's that diverted attention makes it really stressful. And if you have one student, you're the chat monitor. Every 5 minutes, I'm gonna check in with you with other things, other questions that students have, and you can repeat them to me. And so be creative. Maybe parts of the time you want them to be your scribe and for them to be the one who writes on the screen instead of you. Um, find different roles and delegate. I think students would be super happy to be your little partner in this. Know also that you're gonna have issues. You're as a host may drop out of the call. um, I'm going to keep reaffirming all my sessions that you should not panic and try to necessarily problem shoot in the moment, because that often makes it worse, right? If there's a problem, well, getting kicked off is a big thing, right? You have to log back in, but other things, laugh it off and then kind of go with it and figure it out later, because trying to fix it in the moment is really, really difficult with 30 students staring at you, potentially parents staring at you and whatnot. So um, all right, today's topic, so that's that kind of preemptive stuff. We're going to be talking about Zoom. And I know kind of it runs the gamut as far as how much people have used it. Some people may be more familiar with Meet. Some people might have not touched Zoom at all so far. Some people might have used it socially. My goal is this. It's going to be do some how-to stuff and some like kid proofing of the options. That's really important. Like things help make you aware of what Zoom is capable of, but also help make you aware of what kids are capable of on Zoom, so that you can hopefully avoid some of the um, pitfalls that may await you. So um, as Mr. Peters noted, there you can play music at the beginning. I really like being able to do that. I think helps set a lighter, fun mood. It's really hard to kind of talk. You could also be chatting with your students. That can get a little chaotic. So when you click share screen initially, and right now you can't. I have not enabled you to share screen, but when you click the share screen window, there's an initial box that has share computer music and then optimize videos for sharing or something. I would make sure both of those are clicked so that when you share a YouTube video, you share music, that they can hear it. By the way, if I lose video or connection or sound, somebody just wave or send me a chat. All right. So moving on. Just a couple things that we have available on our website. There's this Tech Connect section where there's a spreadsheet where we're asking people when they go to our website to go to the spreadsheet, and it basically lists all the apps that we are using this year and more. All the Google Suite apps, Screencastify, Flipgrid, Zoom, and put your name down if you are familiar with that technology so that people can come refer to you if need be, right? They can find somebody at their school who's familiar. Let's say you're trying to use Flipgrid for the first time. You can look on that spreadsheet to see who's used it before and then consult with them as kind of your colleague expert. And then if you know something, then you're saying that you're willing for somebody to connect with you, please sign up on the Tech Connect. Reaching out is our help ticketing system. There's kind of that a divide between IT help tickets, more for kind of hardware, network issues, rostering issues, and then there's educational app issues. That's where you would come to us for. And lastly, is that we have these sample student accounts set up. Oftentimes we wonder, what would it look like as a student? When I set up a Flipgrid, when I set up a classroom, when I set up an assignment on my Google Classroom, how does it look from the kid end? And IT has set up these usernames and passwords for you to use. Everybody in the district can use any of these. And this is all on our website. Incidentally, you don't need to fiercely, frantically take notes. All of these slides, basically all the slides that I make for PD this year, I kind of see them as instruction manuals, reference manuals that you can refer to later. So if you go to our website, this entire slideshow is on there. All of these underlying things are live links, so the live links are on the here. I'm glad whoever did just draw, because there's something called annotation. And what annotation means is that you can write on the screen. And so maybe this will overwhelm Zoom right now, but I'd like you to find the annotation button on your computer. Usually it's, I think, lower left if you're a participant. And try writing on this, try drawing a face in these. I know we have like 100 people on here, and this might kill Zoom, but all right, we've got some writing going on here. And just try it. So a couple things I want to say about that is that it's a little awkward, right? If you want to use your finger and the trackpad to write, it's not that easy. It comes off really kind of sloppy. One way to kind of counteract that is to, if you have one, and you can do it on an iPad and use a stylus, it comes out much, much cleaner. And so that's one workaround, is to use the iPad and the stylus.
Hey, Richard.
Yes.
People can't find this annotation button.
Okay. Can somebody chime in and tell me where it is? If
in the view option, there's some down arrow.
Where's the view? Oh.
If you look up, there's a view option on the top. You down arrow, there's some annotate the screen. Your menu will drop down.
I don't even know what that means.
So a view option, I believe, is at the top of the screen.
Just
and you click on this, and then when you click on it, is a drop-down menu, and it lets you click on annotate.
Got it.
Yes.
You mean the view menu? The view menu at the top?
Yes.
What
view
happens?
options at the top of your screen next to the
No,
group.
not the view.
Oh,
not the view
no,
menu.
it's at the top of the at the top of the window. Yeah.
I think
Got
we're considering that. I think
Okay.
we're considering that
How fun, Richard.
That's cool.
So if you all mute yourself again, this is what you're going to encounter. And oftentimes this is a really handy tool, right? You can not only draw, you could type stuff. And if you're a math teacher or whatever, you want to be writing on the screen, writing on a slide, writing over a slide, that's great. So I'm in the annotate menu, so I couldn't hit the reply all. I had to turn off the, okay. So there's two settings. If you click annotation is allowed in your settings, anybody can annotate. However, you could disable attendee annotation so that only the host can annotate. But sometimes I think it's fine. It's really useful if the student can annotate as well, and you want them to show you how they solve the problem. But of course, you're going to have students who start abusing that, and as much as you ask them not to, but you want to still retain that ability, I'm going to show you something that you can do to help maybe counteract that. Is I just click show names of annotators. So now whoever is writing whatever, right, like Roger's now doing all those hearts all over the screen, I can identify who's doing that, and I can politely say, Roger, can you do a smiley face instead of a heart, right? And so I think you have two options, right? When the annotating gets out of control, is either turn it off or show names of annotators. And that's just under the more menu. I'm going to disable attendee annotation now, and now it's all stopped. Okay, so that is one option for you. How about we save, if somebody could moderate and maybe jot down some of these questions, or if you remember them, I'll get through them and I'll have a Q&A at the end. Okay, is that cool? All right, I'm gonna mosey on along here. So annotation is one. And so you can annotate on a slide that you have. You could also annotate on a whiteboard. So when you share screen, I chose this slide. I could have also chosen a whiteboard so that I can write on that whiteboard. You want to write the morning announcements, you want to show them a drawing of something, whatever the case may be. Right, breakout rooms. So breakout rooms can be set in advance. And I think I've posted later on in the slideshow, I posted a tutorial video that I found online about pre-assigning breakout rooms. What a breakout room is, it puts people in small groups where they can talk to each other. One person had the idea of, hey, let's have the same breakout rooms for the entire first month, or the first quarter. Kids won't know each other very well. They might not even see each other on screen. And so if they have a consistent group for a sustained amount of time, that may be helpful. And so doing the pre-assigned groups would help to facilitate that. Otherwise, you can, in the spur of the moment, also make random groups. And it's a pretty snazzy feature. It'll basically tell you how many people are in your meeting, and then you bump up the number of rooms, and it'll tell you, okay, at this number, there's 4 to 5 per room, 8 to 9 per room, 7 to 6, 6 to 7 per room. And you can decide how many people you want per room. It'll set those. Those could also easily be moved. You can move, somebody easily from one room to another. If students join the class late, and this is where kind of you being the manager of it is important, because it'll, as they enter your class meeting, it'll show the kids who are unassigned. And then you can quickly click on their name and assign them to group 7, whatever the case may be. There's also an option when you're in a breakout room to call for help. And the teacher would see, and the teacher would join. I will say that going in and out of rooms is great. It does take a little bit of time. So right now, let me back up one more second. I can preset the settings so that the students, for example, can't annotate at all. One really other important setting is that you set it so that students can't share their screen. Otherwise, they could do a hostile takeover of your class and share inappropriate stuff. And so I usually have that off. However, almost all the rules are off when you go to breakout rooms. When I send you to a breakout room, even if I have it set in the regular meeting that they can't share, they can share their screens in the breakout room. And actually that becomes a useful tool, because if you come to our best practices later, which I will sell that right now, that is the one that I'm most excited about out of all the presentations I'm doing this week. The best practice is the one that me and Jen are doing right after lunch. You're going to walk away with a ton of tips and templates. But for example, in a breakout room, you may tell a group, hey, I'd like you to work on this slide together, right? Do the pros and cons of whether we should have youth sports right now. And I want one person to be a scribe who shares their screen. And I want you guys to take notes on there and we'll report back in a little bit, but one of you should share a screen so you can all see what you're working on, and you can all work on it at the same time, but one person will be sharing screens. So right now, what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna put you in breakout rooms, and it won't be for very long. I'm gonna give you maybe 2 minutes, and you're gonna share one awesome remote learning idea you're super excited about, something you've come across. Oh, I really want to tell people, I think this would be a great idea. And you're sharing only one of these 3, not all. one thing that you're terrified about for this school year, and then, or it could be one question that's come up in your preparations that you haven't figured out the answer yet. Maybe somebody in the group will give you something. While in the room, I want you to experiment with everything. Try annotating, try screen sharing. I want you to be that curious kid in the class who tries every button in sight so that you, as a teacher now, can know the experience of the students when they're in their breakout room. Again, we're trying to child-proof, student-proof, and protect our session. So I've got 89 participants. As I'm clicking, and you can't see this, but what I'm doing is I'm gonna make it so there's 32 breakout rooms, which means there's 2 to 3 participants per room. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, share one of these ideas, and it's not gonna be, let's say, let's just be straightforward. Like, you can mess around with the screen as you're sharing. So you can try annotating, try sharing your screen with the group, take turns trying it, just try everything, okay? So I'm gonna send you to your rooms. It's gonna say, you've been invited to room such and such, go to the room, and in 2 minutes, I'll break you guys out of it, okay? So one awesome idea you're excited about, one thing you're terrified about, or a question that you have about something that you've come across as you prepared for this. All right, here we go. Boom, the rooms are open. 2 minutes. I thought you'd pick up at 9:45. It can get a little bit problematic. It's just the button is a little bit finicky, and so unmuting them can be a little tricky. So you have to be the judge of whether you want to allow them to unmute themselves. Okay. You may be wondering, can we show videos? You can. And a lot of how the video turns out is going to be dependent upon your internet speed at home. And so right now I'm going to play a video. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I'm going to show you part of it just so you can get a feel for what it might look like on a kid end as far as video quality. Usually sound quality is not an issue, but video might be choppy. So I'm going to show you about a minute worth of video. Here we go.
At first I was afraid, I was kept thinking I could never teach through Canvas all the time. But then I spent so many nights reading the help docs for so long, and I grew strong. I learned how to get along, and so I'm back. The students are gone, as all my colleagues try to figure out how they're gonna get along. I should have kept up with the tech, not skipped that class on course design. If I'd have known for just 1 second, I'd be teaching all online. Go now, go, leave me alone. I've got to figure out just how to lecture using Panopto. You gave me 2 days to adjust, to move everything online. Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I will survive.
So that, I don't know how it was received on your end, but I just want to give you a taste of what it looks like. Understanding that also, you know, as you're doing this, as you're broadcasting your video, it's uploading your image and your information up. And so if you're playing a video from YouTube, it's downloading to your computer and then uploading back up again while also uploading your image. And so that, I think, is partly why it may slow down. So use your discretion. For this next section, it's going to be a hodgepodge of things I want you to just bring your attention to, because I think they're really important points to think about as you're setting up your Zoom as well as in Zoom session. There are a couple different ways to set up your meeting as far as meeting ID. And what I recommend is that you use what's called the PMI, or your personal meeting ID, when you're scheduling classes, because otherwise there's an option where you generate a new ID each time, and that can get really frustrating for kids because then they have to retype in the number. Whereas if you use your personal meeting ID, your personal meeting ID will be saved in their history, so they can just click on it. In fact, actually, what we'll be doing this afternoon at our last session is putting all your kids' schedules, or that tomorrow, today, into Calendar. And let me show you how to do that. And for that, you need to go to the, well, what I'm recommending is we go to the options later at some point. I'll show you how, and make sure you click the check meeting that says when you're scheduling meeting, you're using the personal meeting ID. I had a second grader in last year, and during his Zoom, every single meeting had a different ID and different password. And you can imagine, being able to have to type that thing in every time without a link is really time consuming and frustrating. I also recommend that you create a simple password. Your password could be changed. I ended up making my password just number 8 because we're in 8th grade. It could be a single digit, so I think it's boom. That just protects people from, if they have your link but they don't know the password, they can't get in, but it makes it easy enough for those who do know the password. Highly recommend no waiting room. Students can get locked out. Again, you're managing so much. The waiting room is in the participant window, and if you're so zoomed in on your teaching, you may not notice they are in the waiting room because they came in late, or if they accidentally got disconnected and they try to re-enter and they're in the waiting room, they can get stuck there. And it is super frustrating for both kids and for their parents when your teacher's not letting you in. We've had frantic times where like my son got kicked off. He was in the waiting room, so we were frantically texting a classmate to get the teacher's attention to tell him to let him in. And so I would recommend no waiting room. When you first start, open up the participant window and the chat window just so that kind of your control panel. Make sure you turn off screen sharing by participants. A lot of these settings I'm talking about, you should do on their website. Some of these settings, I'm not saying a lot, but there's a fair amount of settings that you can't do within the Zoom app. You have to go to zoom.us, log into your USD account, and then change the settings. I'll talk about that in a moment, but definitely I would say don't have screen sharing. You can adjust that in meeting, but by default, I would say no screen sharing. For me personally, I preferred having the chat be to host only, but you can use your discretion with how you know your kids. I just find that kids in 8th grade can end up using the chat as a social chat room rather than for class discussion. And so what I set it for is that they could only chat to host only. So it was great for me because they could chat to me, type in a message that said, I can't hear you. Could you repeat the question? Or I might say, what do you think the answer number 4 is? And some kids are comfortable raising their hands and speaking to the class, and others are like, what, I'd rather just chat. And I think we want to encourage communication and not put a value over one type of communication or others. People have various reasons for not chatting or not speaking out loud in class. They might be sitting next to their 3rd grade brother. They might be babysitting, and they're just not comfortable talking as if they would in a regular classroom. I was talking to Shelly Ball, and she said she does counseling sessions over Zoom, and she tells, and those are private sessions, right? And you can't be talking about your stuff when your parents or siblings are nearby. And so she just says to them, turn off your camera, just listen to me through the earbuds. Anything you want to say to me, send it to the chat screen. And what I recommend is that, if somebody gives a good answer, you can say, oh, Johnny said this. That's a great answer, Johnny. And if you're asking for comments and replies and they actually use the chat screen, reaffirm them, prop them up, say that they said this and recognize them.
Rich, can I ask a quick question? Sure. The basic Zoom account does not have any setting for chat host only. I have tried to look for that and I cannot set my chat to host only.
Yeah, I think you do. It's on the lower. It's in the chat window. Although there's 3 dots by the chat window, and you could click on either to host only, to everybody. I think there's a few options. So it's in the actual chat window. It's kind of a hard place to find, but
so you do need to do it every time you're in the meeting, not in the general settings.
Once you've done it, I found that once I've done it, it stays that way until I change it.
Okay, thank you. So it's not in the general settings. Okay, thank you.
Correct. I recommend you spotlight yourself. Spotlight means that everybody, if they're on speaker view, sees you. So they're not poking around and visiting all these other people. And so you just got to click on, your own name. and then a blue menu will pop up, and you're going to click Spotlight on yourself. That makes you kind of the main feature. I generally recommend muting all students upon entry, and then sometimes it doesn't do that. You just got to click that, be liberal with that use of the use of that mute all button. I would definitely recommend teaching and practicing your behavioral expectations. Instead of saying, you shouldn't be doing that, we don't do that here, be serious, be focused. Tell them what's expected, because this is a new realm for both them and for you. And everything that you want, just like in any procedure as a teacher, teach and practice it, right? If you want them to do things a certain way, it has to be explicitly said and practiced and modeled. There's that raise hand feature that's in the participant window. We talked about that. What I'm going to be asking the students to do, and I'm not 100% sure on how the administration is handling attendance at this point, but if we were to use it, do it on Zoom Live, notice that right now all the names, if you look at the participant window, are alphaed by first name. What I'm going to ask all students to do at the student orientation is to go in their settings and change it so it's last name first. That way, as you're doing attendance on Aries, you'll be able to zoom right down there, and have it in the appropriate order. I have a video that I'm going to be posting where another teacher at Acalanes has given a direction video on how you can share your screen. Let's say you have a warm-up for the kids. You can share your screen, and at the same time, go to another window, go to your Aries windows, take attendance while they're frozen on. They're just looking at the screen. You want the warm-up screen you're looking at. You go, and you can play some music. Say, you know what, you got 2 minutes to do your warm-up. They're looking at your shared screen. They're listening to the music you want them to listen to during the warm-up. You go to an Aries screen. You take attendance by looking at the participant window. That's an option. And so another thing that you should not, so a couple other things. Let kids know that they can go to the bathroom. I had kids who raised their hands. Mr. Liu, can I go to the bathroom? I'm like, yeah, you could go. But again, I think they need to be told. Teach students how to minimize the Zoom window. I had a PD last week, and I asked people to go to a certain link, and people are like, how do I do that? I'm in Zoom. And like, if teachers are at that point, think about our second graders, or our third graders, or our fifth graders, or any of our students, right? So it needs to be explicitly taught. You got to hit the yellow button to minimize your Zoom window, or press escape, open up another browser, and then you have to click and open up Zoom again at the end to get back in. And then I would definitely reassure them, if you get disconnected, as you're closing the Zoom window, you accidentally close it, and you're disconnected, just reconnect. And how we're asking kids to reconnect this year is through calendar. I'm going to show you how to populate the kids' entire year with their schedule, so they could just click on the period and then go straight to the Zoom from there. So I'm going to encourage them to have a tab open with their calendar so they can easily get back to your meeting. I'm just going to read this, and then we'll talk about it more. I think there's been a lot of debate, and I will admit that I've totally 100% flip-flopped on this issue of whether students should have their camera on or not. So I'm just going to read this out loud, and then I'll talk about it more. In the interest of equitable practices and policy, there's been a strong movement to allow for student discretion when it comes to having their cameras on. Standing in our positions of privilege, it is very difficult to put ourselves in the shoes of students and imagine what legitimate reasons they have for not wanting to be on screen. We have the technology we need, we have the homes we want, we have the mental and emotional capacity and resilience. We have all the resources we need at our fingertips. It is so hard to imagine not having those resources, and what it feels like when the teacher invites themselves and the rest of your class into your bedroom, into your living room, into your crowded kitchen, into your closet. It is important for us to actively consider and be sensitive to the situation of vulnerable populations, as it is often a blind spot for us. Best educational practice would dictate that we can recommend cameras on, but that we truly leave it up to the student. No guilt trip, no pressure, no threats, no grades attached. Our ultimate goal is student engagement and opportunities for students to participate and demonstrate learning. There are many mediums for which students can engage in class: chat window, Pear Deck slides, breakout rooms. Encourage and affirm the use of these methods and more. They are not lesser than the one who has their camera on. Check in on students by name, have one-on-one sessions to build relationship, rapport, and trust. These are the keys to successful teaching. At the beginning of summer, when we were thinking about this, I was totally, let's have the cameras on. I don't want them turning off their camera and walking away or playing video games, all this stuff. And, you know, like there are households where they might all be sitting at a table. They might have stuff in the background that you don't want to see. They might be babysitting because no parents are home. There is a slew of reasons. And I think, like, it makes total sense for me in a privileged position to say, of course they should turn it on, like, you know, but you know what? I've got a quiet room right now. I've got a bright background. I can talk as loud as I want. Nobody can hear me right now. Not everybody has that situation. It's really hard in our position of privilege to understand that. And so I would recommend I would recommend that you give students the option. You could say, I want to see your bright shining face. I would love to see you, but I understand, you know, it could be from day to day, whether you have it on or off. And I know we still, you know, there are definitely the arguments of, you know, I might not see this kid all year long. I can't get to know an empty screen. We could encourage them to put a picture for their profile just so that we can get a little bit of humanity to it. Another idea that I'm not 100% sure where I stand on this yet, but there's something called a snap camera. And on the snap camera, what it does is it can put a filter on your camera so you look differently. So let me see, just give me a moment and see if I can get this set up real quick so you can see what that does. Okay. Give me another few seconds here. All right. I'm going to stop my share for a moment. Hi, everybody. How you doing today? You know, and so, like, I don't know if we want to go there yet, but if students want to do this because they feel more safe and it makes it more fun, well, why not, right? And so this is just an app called Snap Camera that I added onto my computer. And I can, you know, I can talk like this, right? There are some scary ones. And so, like, you might not want to have them do like, let's see, that does not work right now. But point being that you can have a little fun with it, right? This is something that you could do in real life, but now we have this opportunity. You know, like, so how it came about was that one teacher said that whenever he teaches a really cool, neat concept in math, he puts on the wizard outfit, right? This is a magical, mystical thing, right? And so that's another way to fun it up, whether you want to do it or you want to enable kids to do it. I'm not going to do the rest of the meeting like that. I think that would be a little distracting. But that's an option that we have, right? To kind of shake it up a little bit. And it might, yeah, I was talking to my wife about this, like, yeah, it's all goofy and all, but if every kid in the room would do that and turn on their cameras and actually could hear them talk and speak because of that, great, right? So this is just another handout. I should let you look at that while I was switching on the Zoom camera. But again, this handout, this slide deck is on our website already. You can check it out. But this is a infographic that somebody gave about ideas on cameras in virtual meetings and a do and a don't do and whys for that. So in your own time, I'll give you a minute to look at that. I'll read it to you.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Some of you are squinting. It says, don't do this. Don't connect students' videos, use and eye contact to participation points, grading or school attendance. Don't remove students from the meeting if their videos are not on. Don't trick students into turning on their video with a class dance party. Don't give extra credit to students who have the video on. Things to do, give them choice of whether to turn it on or not. Allow them to use virtual black backgrounds or blurred backgrounds or fun filters like I showed you. Real-time check-in, ask questions often to assess student understanding. Allow students to respond via audio or virtual meeting tools like chat boxes, polls, nonverbal responses, thumbs ups. Also use digital assessment tools. Collect different types of data to evaluate ongoing learning. Answer Garden, Gimkit, Kahoot, Google Forms, Poll Everywhere, Socrative. There is a polling feature in Zoom, which I find a little clunky. I think there are better things out there, but if you want to go straight from Zoom, you can. Incidentally, our Zoom accounts will be upgraded imminently. I've been talking to Marie, and her Zoom rep is like the worst. He hasn't responded like in a week and a half, and Marie Williams is ready to go over his head. But your accounts will be automatically upgraded so that you can do a slew of other things. Why does it matter? Privacy. Students might be uncomfortable. I'm reading from the handout again. Students might
Sorry,
be.
Richard, sorry to interrupt, but are you saying we still don't have full capability on our Zoom accounts? Because I tried mine the other day and it was like the free version. I couldn't do screen sharing. I couldn't see that. I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah,
we don't have the capability that you're showing us right now.
Screen sharing is not the upgraded parts that come with the higher account. Screen sharing is already included in the free account, like increased participants, recording to cloud, all the basic tools you already have. Polling is a premium feature. That is imminently.
Okay. The thing I couldn't do was like I wanted to have participants check yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down, that stuff. That wasn't there either. Is that there?
I think that's not there yet. I think that comes with a premium. I'm not sure.
That was a really minimal account. And, you know, I tried to practice some stuff and I couldn't even do anything.
Yeah, that is all on Zoom right now. And I think they're a little busy. So we'll let you know when that's up. I'm going to continue with why does it matter? Safety. Students and their families may not want their image captured, recorded, or shared. Students could be cyberbullied if a classmate takes a screenshot of their video. Equity. Students might have unreliable internet access, low bandwidth, devices without video capabilities, or limited access to a device. And then students might just feel shy or anxious about being on camera. But there's that argument of, but I don't like teaching to blank screens. I kind of partly feel like a radio talk show host, right? They can totally get up for like amping up the crowd, but they have no visual like feedback from the crowd, which we have. But it says teachers can teach students to set up their Zoom profile to have a picture or a Bitmoji or a selfie, so that when they have the camera off, that something will show. So it says ask for assume. Don't assume necessarily that they're being lazy or they don't care about school or that they're doing other things. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt for the sake of equity and for the sake of vulnerable populations and give them the option. Okay. So back to kind of some of the basics now. You got to download the Zoom. Download the Zoom app. Once you get on the slideshow, if you haven't done so already, you can just click this icon. It will take you straight to the page where you download it. Sign in with your Google account. Don't enter your own email. Just sign in with Google. I don't know why this slide is all messed up. An ounce of prevention. Stop. All those times where you tell the kids to stop doing stuff. Stop goofing around. Stop sharing your screen. Don't draw on the screen. Stop being disrespectful. Please mute yourself. Look at my screen. All these things can be controlled. What I'm saying is instructional minutes are precious. And if you find yourself saying these things over and over and over again, change your settings before the meeting. All right. If you don't want them chatting with each other, turn off, disable the group chat, only let them chat with yourself. If you don't want them unmuting themselves, click it so that they can't unmute themselves. I think we're going to waste a lot of time with this and you can always work up to the point where you can feel comfortable letting them do these things, but up until that point, don't waste time saying all these things over, just change it, right? So I would say sometime in the next few days, go to zoom.us, right? It'll take you to this screen and you're going to click the sign in button. You don't have to do it now. If you want to, you can, but I would say don't do it now. And then log in. So don't enter your email address and password here, sign in with Google. And the reason I'm telling you this is that this is a place where you are going to adjust a lot of the settings that stay permanent. Okay, so sign into zoom.us and then sign in. Time for some deep contemplation. You're going to scroll through. So initially, it'll start you on the meeting menu on the left-hand side, but you want to click on settings. And then it has a whole host of options on there. And you need to just take 5 minutes of your day, and you only have to do this once, and go through each of those options contemplatively seeing whether that's something you want for your kids. And I'm right now going to share with you some recommendations, right? These are not in particular order, but actually kind of in order of priority. Again, don't fiercely scribble this down. This is on the Zoom page of our website. Green, I've checked. I recommend you turn those on. Red, I highly recommend you turn it off. Question mark, it's up to you. So a couple of things. Enable personal meeting ID, definitely use that, or else it could generate a different meeting ID every time. Embed password and link. This is huge too, because what it does is when it allows you to copy and share a link for your invitation. And what this will do is it will embed the password in your link so that they don't have to, if they click at the link, they'll go straight to your meeting. They don't have to enter a password. The password is in the link. Mute students upon entry. Chat is up to you. I would definitely disallow the private chat between students. The setting for host only is not on this screen. That's within the live meeting. File transfer, turn off. You don't want them transferring files to you. Don't let them join. I wouldn't let them join before host, because then it's unmoderated. They could be screwing around, bullying each other in there. I would click this off so that they can't join until you've joined. Who can share the screen? I would say host only. This can be changed in meeting. You definitely want it available because you want to be able to share screen. Disable desktop screen share for users. I have this on. Annotation, I have it on. But again, this can be changed in meeting as well. But this will be the default. Whiteboard, I like using the whiteboard. Allows students to rename themselves. If they've had the convention of last first, I would just leave that off so that they, sometimes they want to make goofy names. Virtual background, up to you. Nonverbal feedback is they get to click little icons like, can you say that again? Or hurry up, or good job. And so you can think about whether you want that or not. I would recommend waiting room off. Play sound when participants leave or join. Gets a little like ding, ding, ding. You constantly hear these dings when a kid comes on. So I would recommend having that off. Even if heard by host only, it's super annoying. So, I forgot to mention in here. I'll say it later. I'll say it before our best practices one. Okay. So once you've done, so all those I just showed you were on the website. You can't do those settings on here. Some of them you can, but most of them I would go to do it from website first. And then you're going to open your meeting. But before you even open your meeting, if you click on the new meeting, there's a little arrow by the new meeting. You definitely want to have it clicked use personal ID. And then if you scroll down to it, it'll give you some other options where you can change your password. And that's where I would change it to something super easy. Mine is just the number 8. So a kid gets booted off, but they still have my meeting room in their history. If they ask them for a password, they'll just put the number 8. You could put it as AHS, whatever's easy to remember. In the meeting, there's a security menu. In the security menu, you can change these things. Allow participants to share screen. So let's say your default settings they can't, and you have a kid who's presenting that day, you can change it right then so they can share. You can turn off they can't chat, your names, all these things in the participant menu bar. You don't see it right now because you're not the host, but I do, I can. Somebody asked earlier about the host only. This is a chat screen, right? This is where you would have typed stuff. You won't see right side now because you're not the host, but there's 3 dots directly to the right of that. You click on that and you have these 3 options. Participant can chat with no one, host only, or everyone publicly. All these features are on the bottom. You probably don't have the polling right now. Well, you will get the polling when you are upgraded to the Pro account, the reactions you'll get with the Pro account. 2 ways of recording. I'm going to recommend you record to the cloud. It'll say record to computer also, but I tried that last week. And after it records to your computer, it takes if it's a long video, it takes like 20 minutes to process it in your computer. And I started another meeting right away, and it made my next meeting super glitchy. Until the processing was done. If you record to cloud, and then let's say, okay, so back up. You want to record the meeting so a kid who missed it can see it. You can record it 2 ways: to your computer directly, which takes up a lot of space and makes processing a problem, or you can record to the Zoom cloud. You don't have that option right now until, well, pros will have the option. Once you record to the cloud, you can still download it. If you want to download, you can still download it, or you can just share out the link. When you share out the link, it also password protects it so that you can ask for either public or password protection You just have to access those recordings. You go to zoom.us, the website again, and you click on recordings. You'll see they are all labeled by date, which I would read. If you want to rename, math period 1 on certain date, you can rename them all, so it makes more sense because after a while you're going to have a ton on there. Spotlight yourself is really important. I click on myself, and I click on spotlight video so that kids see me. This is another menu where I was talking about on your top menu, which can be moved around. Oftentimes it's covering things I need to see. You click on more, it gives you these options: record a cloud, record a computer, setting up breakup rooms, disable attendee annotation. You're annoyed because they keep writing on the screen. You can click that. They can't do it anymore, or you can show the name. Think long and hard. When you mute everybody, do you want them to unmute themselves? There's other things that, you decide for yourself how you want to unmute when they share. Breakout rooms, easily determine the breakout room size, rearrange people into different groups, pop in on groups. As you can see, they could ask you for help so you can pop it in. When you share your window, when you click share screen, it brings up this window. If you want to share sound, make sure both these boxes on the bottom are checked, or else you won't be able to share your sound or video well. I will talk about doc cams, I think, at the end of this, but you would click on, if you have your doc cam set up, you would click on advanced. It would be a second camera that's available to you. If you want to pre-assign participants, this is a live link to a video that you can watch in your own time. If you want to have the same group for the entire month, have that all set up, this is an instructional video on how to do that. No doc cam, no problem. Here's a doc cam hack. So met with IT. If you have an older doc cam, the Smart SDC 330 or the Elmo, the older Elmos, they will not work because, well, depends if you updated your Mac OS to Catalina, if that makes any sense to you. If you haven't, you still might be able to get it to work. If you have the newer doc cams, you can just download the free software driver. You just look up the model, download that, connect it with the USB printer cord, and then you can use the doc cam. If you don't have one, some options are you can use your phone. Get one of these little gooseneck cameras. I know as you look at the internet for different hacks, people have them setting on books and stuff, but then your elbow and stuff are kind of getting in the way of you writing on it. This is about a $20 gooseneck cam that you just attach the phone to, you clip to a table. I suppose you would clip it to a book, and then you've got a doc cam, and you would just use it as the camera. It'll give you the option, I believe. Oh no, sorry. A couple ways to do it. You can download an app like something called like Epic Cam, where it mirrors onto your computer, or you can just use your phone as another participant on Zoom. So download Zoom on your phone, and then join the meeting as a Zoom participant. Spotlight your phone. So you name it, doc cam, and then spotlight that. So many videos on that, and so I'm just gonna. That page is there for you to look at later, but I'm gonna move on because we're very limited on time. I've given you a lot, but I want you to just take a deep breath, hold it, breathe out slowly, right? Number one tip with technology, things will go wrong. And when they do, don't panic and try and fix it in the moment. Note the problem, laugh and have fun with it, and then roll with it. Figure it out later. You'll only make things worse and stress yourself out if you try to fight that fire right then. Go to plan B or wing it. As you're experimenting, try every button and setting. You won't break anything. You know that the students are trying everything as well, so you might as well beat them to the punch. Get to know Zoom intimately because you're going to be spending a lot of time together. If you're not sure about something, talk to a colleague or Google it. There's so many things I've run into, like, oh, I'm getting so frustrated. I just stop, and I think there's no solution. And then like a month later, I'm like, what? I can do that? And beyond Googling it, I often just go to YouTube and say, how do you do this? And somebody's undoubtedly made a video for it. Have a growth mindset. We encourage the students, be resilient, have a growth mindset, keep learning, keep growing, strengthen your strength, resolve, and resilience. Do that here too. Have fun on Zoom. Have theme days, dress up, be silly, make them laugh, use the filters. Like, put your personality into your Zooms, right? And finally, I'm gonna spend 1 minute just plugging our EdTech website. Here's our website that Jen Gritman and I spent a long time building. And how it's organized is that we've got a calendar up here with all our PD. This allows you to reach out for help. here's how our resource library is organized. Anything Google Suite, you click on this whole thing is a hot link. You click on it, it'll take you to all things Google Suite. So this sidebar basically provides all these menus again, but I'm gonna open it just so you can see. So Classroom, Docs, Slides, Forums, Sheets, Calendars, Sites, Maps, Keep, Jamboard, Arts and Culture. Any of those, if you want to find out more about them, you click on this, it will take you to another page which has all those things listed, and you want to learn more about Google Sheets, you click on that, that'll take you to Google Sheets, which gives you tutorials, resource. Actually, let me just go ahead and show you a sample one. Actually, a better one is Sites. Sorry.
We can't copy from the chat, and I'm having difficulty opening this slide deck.
It's on the website. It's on the website, so I will point you to it. So this is, for example, the Google Sites page. It has a resource on how to get, what it's about, how to get started, and then as you scroll down, this PD about tips and ideas on it, guided instruction, the PD that we've done on it, as well as a slide deck for the PD. That's so, if you look at our Zoom page, the slide deck for Zoom, as well as this presentation will be on there, and more video resources that we've found, and then sample sites of other teachers in the district. So all of these pages have been populated with those elements, and we'll be continually adding to these pages as well. And so going back to the first page, we have your Google Suite. You have also what we're terming as video resources. And under video resources, it's Zoom, Google Meet, Screencastify, Loom, YouTube, QuickTime. And then I've got a teacher toolkit page. Under the teacher toolkit page, we've got pages on Pear Deck, HyperDocs, Formative, Kahoot, Quizlet, Socrative, Quizzes, Flipgrid, Padlet, Seesaw, and Clever. And so if you're experimenting with a new technology and you're not sure how to get started, come to this page. If you're not sure where to look for it, up here in the upper right-hand corner, there's a search menu, search bar. Click on that, type in anything you want. It'll search our page for that resource and point you to all the page, all the parts on the page that contain that resource. Okay. So people talked about getting to the website. I'm going to drop in the chat now because our time is up, and it's a bit.ly, and we'll talk about how to use bit.lys in another time. And this is case sensitive, bit.ly, so bit.ly / capital AUSD, capital E. So the first two letters of EdTech are capitalized, all the rest, well, you can see it. Oh, actually, I haven't even sent it yet, sorry. Sorry. Really shouldn't apologize, actually. Okay, there you go. That's how you get to it. All right. That is all the time I have, and I do want to give you a break before we go to our next session. If you have questions about anything I said, I would say the slide deck is available, his video is available, and also your colleague is available, and I am available as well. So,
Richard, can I have a very quick question?
Yeah.
That because when I sign up for the Zoom in spring, I use the school email. So does that mean that since we purchased the license, do you think that because I use the school email, maybe I don't need to do anything extra, or there's actually something extra I need to do?
If you basically what they're going to give Zoom, they're going to give Zoom all the emails of staff and put those accounts as pro accounts. That's ultimately what will happen.
So that way, so since I use the school email, that means that they will get my email, then I probably don't need to do much to change.
No, it will automatically roll over.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So,
Everybody.
Richard, although I can get some answers from your slide deck, the one I can't get is how do I access the slide deck? I can see it on the screen, but if I right click on it, it allows me to save it as HTML, which isn't going to work. And if I left click on it, it just pages through these little tiny slides I can't read.
Okay. We'll adjust that so right now it's set so that you can look at it on the website. Maybe we'll set it so that you can actually look at the file.
Or save the file, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
I was able to save it as PDF or Google Slides or PowerPoint, but still it would be good to be able to see it larger. When I click the enlarge screen, it just doesn't work. It just shows little, so I had to download it as a
Okay, I'll drop
PowerPoint.
I'll make the title into a link for you. Okay. All right.
Sounds
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in a little bit. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
So Rich, the questions that Mr. Krazit so gracefully kept track of, are those going to be answered in like a Q&A type of document, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, let me save the chat right now. I'm gonna figure out how to save the chat. And then I will maybe we'll post an FAQ on the website.
That sounds good. Thank you so much.
Hi, Dan.
What's up?